Hey everyone, I'm Alexis the Ego Queen, and welcome back to another episode. Episode 30 now, isn't it? Holy cow, of Adeptus Podcastus. We've been doing this for a while.
Just over a year.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I get the big 3-0 on my channel, which is awesome.
You get all the specials.
I know. I'm so special. Don't make a joke out of that.
Context.
Anyway. I partially made that joke on purpose. So, we have a lot of stuff to discuss. The new Necromunda stuff, Tyranid Codex, the Eldar.
Indeed we do.
What else is it?
We've got some Primark discussions to have regarding the new Fulgrim book. We've got the Horus Heresy, 30k rules are going to be updated. There's a lot going on.
7.5 edition.
In fact, should we just start there? Because there's a lot to be discussed there, because obviously I think people have seen the Eldar by now.
And Remways can actually participate in this because he plays 30k, sort of.
Yes. I have an army. That's about it so far. It's a start.
To be fair, I've only played 3 games of 30k, and I haven't since I got Magnus, so I'm no better.
You know what? I want to play more 30k, I really do, but scheduling a game for 30k is a little bit difficult, and I don't have like the crazy Forge World stuff. Like I just got my Spartan, and I'm going to be getting a Sakaran very soon, but I don't have because a lot of the players I play with, which this is different from me and Michael, is I play with power gamers versus Michael playing more casual games. Which is good because we have a nice balance of gaming systems and everything.
It does, very nice. Go on.
But every time that I play, I go up against the one guy who has 9 thud guns.
Yeah, I think 9 thud guns is a bit financially limiting for us, so I don't think any of us are going to be bringing thud guns. Then again, I say that, and I've dropped on a Primark, and my friend has got more armies than I think he cares to admit, so...
Same here.
True.
No, but we do have the announcement of 7.5 edition.
Yes, we do.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Available to pre-order this Friday, so that will be the mathematics, Michael, the 3rd of November, I think.
Yes.
Yes. So, from what Forge World can tell us, it is a balanced past 7th. So all of the previous 7th edition FAQs have been rolled in. The army construction will use the Horus Heresy rules instead of the 7th edition standard, and some balance changes based on community feedback. I'm quoting directly here. Melter bombs have been changed, and invisibility is gone.
Oh, thank God.
It has been...
That's what honestly broke the gaming system in 7th, was invisibility.
Yeah, I remember losing to Invisible Be'lakor with 1,500 points of Orks, still on the board. And it's been replaced with a power known as Mind Howl, which is nearly as bad, but nowhere near. So it's a War Charge 2 power Malediction with a 12-inch range that reduces a unit's ballistic skill and weapon skill to 1.
That's pretty good.
It is very good, but it's only going to affect a single unit, whereas invisibility was just
army-wide.
And it critically does not affect flamers. Because now snapshots isn't worded as snapshots anymore, which is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, that was the one thing. When I played back in 7th edition, we used the ITC ruling, meaning blasts and flamers can still hit invisible units. But you couldn't target them, I think it was. But I haven't played 7th edition forever. I haven't played in a 30k game in forever. And I really want to get back into it. It's so much fun. Because it's Marine spam the game. It's great.
I think 30k kind of has an element of old fantasy where it doesn't scale down very well. Small games are not where it performs very well.
Oh no, the min you have to do is 25 to get some cool stuff in there.
One thing you should also note is that this does not replace any of the old books. All the old Horus Heresy books 1 through 7 still work, and their expansions. And it should also be noted that the lore is going into that book.
Ooh.
Oh no, that's a lie. Sorry, that's a lie.
Boo!
The rulebook. Sorry, I misread it. It says the rulebook contains the core rules and useful reference material. All the lore and specific rules for your chosen legion are in the supplements. Sorry, my bad. Sorry.
You got me excited for a massive Horus Heresy black book, just a massive hard leather lore book of just Horus Heresy stuff from all the books. You got me so excited, and you dashed my hopes.
Sorry.
I should slap you.
Please don't.
Okay, with a mechadendrite across the grill.
Clang.
Ow. Now, what I'm actually most curious about is how people will react to this if they're dual system players, because I don't think there ever was an argument. There was always a consensus that 7th edition had to go, and which is why we got 8th. But I will be curious to see how this 7.5, for want of a better word, will balance and perform, and whether the 8th ed crowd actually enjoy it.
Well, it's really funny because I find this greatly amusing. Is Horus Heresy was the balanced version of 7th edition. It's always has been balanced because thud guns, like, with phosphoric shells, the most powerful thing in 30k, can be taken by anybody. It doesn't matter. And models, like, the armies balanced each other out, like, oh, well, this army has, like, this crazy unit, but I have Death Shroud Terminators, which can hit, like, 8 people in combat if I'm surrounded.
Yeah, and I have the Sekhmet Terminators, who are Mastery Level 2 Psychers, who all have Force weapons and a 3-up invulnerable save half the time.
Yep.
And 2 wounds. So every army had a slightly different flavour of nonsense, but in the grand scheme of things.
I expected chain glaives to look a bit cooler, not to be a chain sword on a stick.
In fact, Sevatar's chain glaive looks fucking awesome. Because there's this massive spear with a chainsaw mixed in with it. It's not a chainsaw, it's a full-on chainsaw.
Well, he's Sevatar.
Well, yeah.
I also find it amusing that all 3 of us play a different army in 30k.
As we should.
Which just... to be fair, though, I think if you hadn't realised after 30 episodes, it has become abundantly clear we all have very different tastes when it comes to how we like our armies to function.
Though I'm generally surprised Alexis didn't go for Emperor's Children.
When I created my Space Marine Legion, which I am working on Emperor's Children, they're one of my next armies, by the way. Mostly because I love Fulgrim and I love Fabius Bile. I think they're 2 of the most well-written characters. But that being said, when I looked at the legions, we all decided in the gaming club that I was at to roll a d20. That was it.
And then remove 2 and 11.
Yep, 2 and 11 were rerolls. No, wait, I think 2 and 11 was you chose. And I got Death Guard. My buddy got Emperor's Children. And somebody got Iron Hands and Iron Warriors.
Ooh.
Unlucky.
No, I've heard bad. No, Iron Hands are horrifying.
Yeah, they're really, really, really good.
Hey, how about being -1 strength all the time? Ha, fuck you.
I was talking more in regards to Iron Warriors, but hey.
Oh yeah, the Iron Warriors suck.
Oh, poor guy. But that's what we did.
Just bland. Yeah, sorry.
And then I started making the fluff for my chapter, which you can actually see on Remlaze's channel as well as my own in some earlier vids. And it's really fun. Like, I fell in love with Nathaniel Garrow, and I think I still would have picked the Sons of Garrow, which is my fan-made chapter, over Emperor's Children. But now they have the Sons of the Phoenix, and I'm just like, oh my god, I know what my Primaris army is going to be.
Sons of the Garrow.
No, Sons of the Phoenix.
I have to admit, I don't like the Emperor's Children, and I've made that abundantly clear in the past, but the Palatine Blades and the Phoenix Guard Terminators are very, very cool. I will admit that.
I will say this, the best thing about the Emperor's Children I've read, and this isn't really a spoiler, so don't complain, Alexis. It's not a spoiler.
I'm going to.
But that one image of that Emperor's Children at the buffet table with a tiny little plate, it's just so precious.
Okay, that is. No, am I the only one that noticed, like, when Fabius fought that one Primarch in, like, the most iconic the most iconic like artwork of Fabi Spile, where he's got the what blade was it called? The lair blade.
Fulgrim, you mean?
Yeah, when Fulgrim had that, what was the name of his blade? I can't remember right now. I'm drawing a blank.
It was the blade of the lair was Fulgrim's demon weapon, and the fire blade was his other weapon.
Yeah, he had the lair blade, and he's fighting the other Primarch, and the other Primarch just has a wrench.
Ferrus Manus, that was, yeah.
That will be Manus then.
Before they decided to give him an actual, a hammer, which looks cooler.
No, I don't understand that artwork, because in the lore he had his hammer.
Well, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. In the fact that on Istvan 5, they had each other's weapons.
Yeah, Ferrus had Fireblade and... What was the name of Ferrus's hammer? That
Forgebreaker. Forgebreaker.
I always get confused with Dawnbringer.
That's Vulcan's.
Yeah, I get it confused. They're both hammers.
Fulgrim made the hammer, and then they switched to show that they were friends.
So what was Perturabo's hammer then? I thought that was Forgebreaker.
That was Forgebreaker. It was given to Perturabo after Istvan 5.
So what did Perturabo use before that then, or did he just go and shoot people?
He had a wrench.
He had the Logos, which was sort of his armor. His armor kind of had a weapon suite integrated into it, I believe.
And no melee.
It did. But I'm just imagining, like, my God, he is the Tau.
Apart from the fact he rides around in a command shadow sword, because
Like how a Tau will command a battle suit.
I'm still just imagining him, like, walking around, like, in an armory, just being like, none of these weapons look appealing. I'm just going to use this wrench.
Which actually leads into a nice little segue while we're talking about Primarchs into the new Fulgrim book, which Remlaze has promised not to spoil.
No spoilers at all.
No spoilers.
I am still waiting on my book.
Cover your ears then for the next few seconds.
However, there is one thing we should discuss, and that is we got a little bit of lore on the Lost Pry Marks. Something
one of them.
Well, one of them, which to be honest is a lot more than I thought we were ever going to get.
Isn't it just like one paragraph?
Yeah.
Hey, it's something.
In fact, I will bring up that passage now. So, Alexis, if you wish to cover your ears for fear of being spoiled, even though it's not really a spoiler, because it is and it isn't. I suppose you could say.
It's a spoiler.
Where is it? Oh, yes. So, yes. This was when... it's near the beginning of the book, and it was shortly after when Fulgrim was reunited with the Emperor, and so there's only 8 Primarchs so far. And Fulgrim makes a bet with the other 7 Primarchs, and it says in this passage... Fulgrim bowed his head, suddenly weary, 7 voices raised in doubt, 7 brothers arrayed against the 8th. Even the normally contemplative master of the 2nd had broken his silence to accuse Fulgrim of hubris. He snorted. There was an old Terran saying about pots and kettles. He'd refrained from sharing it at the time. His quiet brother had no sense of humour that he was aware of. Perhaps that was why he spoke so little. So? Grumpy git.
Full of hubris, very, very taciturnly spoken, and without a sense of humour. So, Corax crossed with Dawn.
Dorax.
Or somebody with Asperger's.
So we'll call him Dorax.
Dorax. Nah, you gotta call him Ajax.
Or is that a Dorax or Corn? But we can't call him Corn.
And Corn's not gonna fly.
So it's a Dorax.
Dorax.
Adorable.
Adorable.
Yay.
Yeah, the book is set, as it says here, pre-Leia. So this is actually good Fulgrim.
He was always good Fulgrim. He just became more perfect.
I've made my feelings on Fulgrim abundantly clear in the past and why I dislike him, but I'm not going to go off on one here.
I'm sorry. The most perfect member of the Legion was the one at the buffet table with his tiny little plate. He was perfect. He is to be cherished. In fact, I know someone's drawing art of that right now just because it's so fucking adorable.
God damn it.
Hey, you read that passage of a space marine at a buffet table with a tiny plate looking confused, and you tell me that's not fucking adorable.
It's definitely interesting.
In full armor as well. Just looking at breads and meat and fish is like, what do I do? Why am I having a plate?
Oh my god.
Segueing once more from Fulgrim and all things Slaaneshi to the Eldar.
That's still Slaaneshi.
Well, yeah, that's why that's a good segue, because Fulgrim links to Slaanesh links to the Eldar. That's the point of the segue.
I want a segue. Segways are cool.
Different spelling.
Still cool.
Yeah, back in 2003.
Wow.
I'm so upset that I missed the hoverboard craze.
When did we get hoverboards? Is this Back to the
When
Future?
was that a thing? When was that a thing?
Back to the Future 2 happened when?
No, you don't remember the hoverboards? They were the two-wheeled things that you just like lean forward on.
That's not a hoverboard. That's something on two
They
wheels.
were called a hoverboard.
That's false advertising.
Well, I agree.
It's
but
a
it was still
Segway
cool.
without a handle.
Yes.
So it's a gway.
You're a gway. Get what I did there?
Are we done?
Yes. I will
Good.
be professional from now on.
Let us discuss the Eldar then. Because we have 5 Craft World attributes to go through. We'll probably fly through these at a relative pace because it's been out for 2 weeks now. You've probably seen it before. But Craft World Eandon, a unit with this attribute can never lose more than 1 model as a result of any single failed morale check. And in addition, if a unit with a damage chart has its attribute double the wounds it actually has, when you're consulting, it's how much damage it's taken. So it takes a lot longer to get worse.
It's amazing, but not the best.
It is rather useful, and I can imagine that if you are... this is like the tactic you take if your opponent loves Night Lords. Because bravery bullshit.
Ha! Fuck you, Remlays.
Yeah, we also saw the introduction of a new psychic power that is either a plus or a -1 to wound for a unit, depending on the target. It's in the fight phase only, but...
Really good, though.
It is, but there's not many infantry or biker units that you actually want in melee that aren't aspects. They don't count as in.
Oh,
well, they count
they don't get it.
Yeah, because they count as wraith construct rather than infantry.
Huh.
I
so
think.
It's good for howling banshees?
Striking scorpions.
Okay, so striking scorpions are good. Howling banshees are decent, not great.
Shining spears.
They're cool.
And it would also affect characters as well who are on foot or on bikes, such as autarchs and farseers.
Okay, then it's good.
And of course, the other option is you can use it as a -1 to wound for the fight phase if you need, let's say, a unit to just stay alive.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's definitely not bad. Moving on, we have Ulthway. Hey, someone put an accent on the E. Thank you, GW. Good.
Always had the accent.
Maybe, but it's the amount of times you see it written on non-GW stuff without the E accent, it gets kind of like, why is it not got an accent? And then GW is written in with the accent.
It's because people don't understand to hold Control, Alt, and E to put the accent on when typing.
Or, just holding the E key down if you're on a Mac.
Who has
Anyway.
a Mac?
Rich kids.
Probably some Tau lovers.
Speaking of Ulthway's attribute, theirs is basically 6+ feel no pain. So if you lose a wound on a 6, you ignore it. This does not stack with Spirit Stones, Ghost Helms, and the like. You use one or the other.
So it does stack with the Warlord trait.
Perhaps. But, the Warlord trait of 6 feel no pain, that would stack. We also got a change to the Autarch's Path of Command, which is a very small amount of command point regeneration. So you get command points back on a 6 if your army is battle-forged and this is your Warlord. And you get rerolls of 1 to hit for Craftworld units within 6.
Yeah, I think they learned their lesson when they used the Guard, and the Guard kept using their freaking, regaining their command points and firing with Shadow Swords.
I thought that was Gilliman's trick.
No, Ultramarines do it as well. But Guard do it better.
Yeah, I hear bullshit regarding command points, and I just assume it's Guilliman.
No, bullshit regarding Imperium keyword is Gilliman.
Yeah, we will be discussing that later. There's something in the questions I want to bring up, but that's for later. For now, BL Tarn. Their attribute is +1 leadership for all aspect warriors, which is interesting, and rerolls of 1s to hit for all shuriken weapons, which includes Kernus's bow, the Dire Avenger shuriken catapult, or any weapon that has the word shuriken in its name.
Sure, you can. Sorry, I had to say it. I know Bramlaze was thinking it, and I had to say it.
Actually, I was thinking more about the way Michael said BLT sounded like BLT. Now I'm hungry.
BLTarn. It's a BLTarn. It's
BLT.
nothing like BLT.
BLT.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking of BLT now too. Thanks, Michael.
Make me a sandwich.
Yes, this is probably one of the. Well, I say this is one of the weaker attributes. I wouldn't want to say like +1 leadership for aspect warriors is
Garbage.
very bad. But rerolls of 1s for shuriken, it's
Still garbage.
It's not, well, if you build your army a certain way with bikers and guardians and dire avengers, it's not absolute garbage.
It's useful.
It's useful, but there's better things in the Codex.
Yeah, and we've also got the avatar can be Guilliman and not die. So a 3 command point stratagem. If the avatar of Cain is slain in the fight phase, do not remove it as a casualty. Instead, roll a d6 after the enemy unit that slew it has attacked. The avatar of Cain returns with that many wounds remaining.
That's actually pretty decent, but it's still right after the phase, so a smart opponent will choose that combat, if it is in combat, that combat first. Let him die, he comes back up, and then they'll just... Oh, wait, no, if you kill... Alright, kill him by shooting and do that.
Well, he won't come back if it's only in the fight phase, so if you shoot him to death, he's dead.
Oh, never mind, he's actually pretty decent then.
So if you shoot him to death, he is just dead. So how it will work is, let's say he's in combat with 2 enemy units. If one enemy unit kills him, he will die, and then he will resurrect after that unit attacks, but the other unit will still be able to attack him. It will not be the case that if the first weapon of a unit kills him, that the unit can then continue to pile on him because he resurrects immediately. That's how it works.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Indeed. Simhan,
No,
the bike.
indeed.
Simhan, the craft world.
Ignore my well-thought-out 40k joke.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that went. Sorry, you lost me.
You need?
What about her?
Instead of indeed.
Oh.
Play on words. Alright, you know what? Thinking about it, it was terrible. I'm sorry.
Good attempt, but yeah, sorry, you just completely lost me there.
That fell into dad joke territory.
Oh dear. So, Simhan. Reroll failed charges for all units, and biker units do not suffer the hit roll penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons.
That's pretty good.
Yes, it is, but they're still expensive.
Also, when would you ever run melee Eldar?
Striking scorpions.
Howling
Howling banshees.
As in
An
dead.
avatar.
Oh yeah, you can have units that are good for melee, but why would you build an army for Eldar that is designed as its primary way of winning the game on going into melee? Because your base.
Because melee is the only honourable way of doing it. That's why no one likes the Tau.
I can hear Kitten screaming from here.
Ah dear. They've also got effectively battle focus back as a command point. So
it's not effectively battle focus. It's good, but it's not as broken as battle focus was.
Yeah, it's shoot then move 7, but it can't advance and you cannot charge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not bad, but it does cost a command point, which is something to consider. And that applies to all craft world. That's not a Simhan trick. That's an everything trick. And finally, we have a Latop.
The best one.
Yeah, it's the Raven Guard, in effect. So -1 to hit rolls if you are more than 12 inches away.
Which, if you know anything about the current meta, anything that docks your entire opponent's army is incredible.
Yeah. I don't think there's much that needs to be said here.
Yeah, Rangers that have a -1 to hit them plus they can snipe things. Kind of really good.
And Elatok has a stratagem for their rangers, which means that even if your opponent does want to do it and can stack some buffs to cancel out the traits, never mind pay a command point. If they're in cover, they get hit on a 6 irrespective.
Yep. And the cool thing is that's about a unit, not infantry, correct?
It's Elatok Ranger unit.
Oh, okay, just the Rangers. I mean, if you're going to kill the Rangers, you're going to assault them.
True. It's just something you have to consider. And that's the Eldar in a nutshell. How are they doing from someone who actually plays this game at a reasonable level?
At first, I misjudged them. Like, if you asked me a couple of days ago, I'd have been like, oh, they're garbage. I did misjudge them. I misjudged the combined fire stratagem. You know, the thing that the fire prisms do?
Oh, yeah. That's a new thing that they can link their attacks together and get some rerolls.
Yeah, so originally the way I read it is I didn't think the fire prism that links could fire, but I reread it and it says it is the last thing to fire in the shooting phase. So you do have to declare its target and then hope you don't kill it. Because you have to declare the links and everything and then go through everything and then shoot it.
Indeed.
So it sounds weird, but it's really effective. Jet bikes are still really good. The Seers Council is kind of devastating right now.
When wasn't it?
Smite spam is really good with the Eldar because of how fast they are. Plus the combat capabilities actually makes them semi-decent. Witchblades are still scary in combat. So overall, I would give them... They're not... I would say they're tier 2.
And for context, tier 1 is...
Imperial Guard.
Right. Okay.
Like, it's strictly Imperial Guard at this point. Maybe Sisters. If it's, by my opinion, it's Sisters of Battle and Imperial Guard because of damage output.
Not even Marines?
No, Marines are tier 3.
I see. I see.
By themselves.
And that's where everything changes.
Yep. Once you go keyword Imperium, you go right up to tier 3.
1.
Yes, you know what I meant, and that is exactly what I meant.
Yeah, we knew. So, let's finish off 40k codices, and let's talk about the Tyranids, and then we will discuss Necromunda. So,
I just have to say one thing. Thank you, GW, for releasing the Tyranid Codex on my birthday.
Happy Alexis.
You're amazing.
So, things that we know right now. For context, it is the 30th of October, we're recording a little bit late this week, for one reason or another.
And it's my birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Remblades!
You have your birthday on Halloween?
Yes.
I know, isn't it cool as shit? And he plays Night Lords.
Oh, that's just too perfect.
Remblades is literally the edgiest motherfucker in the universe.
Exactly.
So, speaking of Tyranids and edgy things and stuff, that didn't work at all. Let's get the bugs out of the way. So,
Just
Shadow
like Aurora is doing. Sorry. I had to make the joke about how GW is treating the Tyranids this edition where, you know, almost all the Hive Fleets are dead.
They've all got rules.
Yeah, they fast forward in 250 years and we're just like, hey, look, the Hive Fleets are back at full strength.
Well, to be fair, they've had... Well, Behemoth's been dead for centuries at this point. Kraken was killed by Uriel. So, to be fair, that's nothing new.
Yeah. So I hope they have some fluff in their codex about them winning a battle. That would be nice.
Well, there are 7 Hive Fleets coming. Behemoth, Leviathan, Kraken, obviously. And then Hydra, Gorgon, Jormungandr, and Kronos. Now, who are Hive Fleet Kronos?
They're the ones that devour the Ordo Kronos.
They devour time.
Different spelling.
I know, but you know the joke is there.
I've never heard of Kronos. For a minute, I thought you meant Colossus, which actually did exist.
Yeah, like between Colossus, I don't know if I think there's a Hive Fleet Charybdis as well I've heard of.
Yeah.
I know there's thousands of Hive fleets, but
I only wanted Hive Fleet Colossus just because that was the Hive Fleet that had Zotes in it.
That would work.
And it was mentioned in a
how do you
recent
spell
space...
Cronus for...
So the
Does anyone
C
know?
or a K?
It's Kronos in this case.
Kronos.
Oh, Hive fleet Cronus. God damn
Kronos.
it, it's the one that's based on the God of War.
That's Kratos, isn't it?
That's
Yes.
Kratos.
I'm
just going to wait for GW to preview these guys, and then I'll see if I can find it. That might be
Wow,
easy.
they actually have no lore.
That's what makes them interesting.
That makes them kind
We're
of
new.
spooky. Cool.
We
Their
knew.
color scheme is purple and blue.
Ew.
Sounds ghastly, but I need to see how it looks
Sounds
like.
bad. Yeah, but I think we're going to see all the adaptations as of recording tomorrow. So hopefully we'll get to see some painting then.
Yeah.
For
without
now,
doubt.
But now we have rules. So the new shadow in the warp. Enemy psychers must subtract 1 from any psychic test they make if they are within 18 inches of any units with this ability. Tyranid psychers are not affected, so you cannot shadow in the warp an enemy Tyranid player. For context.
Ah. Interesting.
They might FAQ that in the future.
What, so only friendly Tyranids are not affected?
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps. But it already says enemy, so it seems like that's a really odd clarification to have. They wouldn't even need to clarify. They've made that clarification deliberately.
Yeah. It's still the same. Like, that hasn't changed from the index.
It's now got an 18-inch range, though, instead of 12.
Yeah, but you always deep strike everything. So.
And Synapse has also been given a range boost from 8 to 12. So Hive Fleet
Thank
units
God.
automatically pass morale tests if within 12 inches of any Hive Fleet units with this ability.
See, now that's good. Because I hated the fact that I needed to take rear guard warriors just to keep my guys fighting.
Yeah, but they've also drastically changed instinctive behavior.
Oh no, what they do? I like the instinctive behavior.
They've buffed it.
They've buffed it.
Oh no, what they do?
Unless no, you're going to like this. Unless a Hive Fleet unit with this ability is within 24 inches of any Hive Fleet Synapse unit, you must subtract 1 from any hit rolls made for it when shooting other than the nearest visible enemy unit, and you must subtract 2 from its charge roll if it charges any unit other than the nearest enemy unit.
Oh, that's incredible.
So you do not lose control, totally, but you are encouraged to attack the nearest thing to you.
Okay, you're right. I do like that.
So it's a buff.
It's over 24 instead of 12.
All right, so you don't really need to bring Synapse then.
Other than for morale reasons.
Yeah.
So from what we can see so far, it looks like the Nids are getting a pretty nice boost.
About time.
In terms of their core rules, they're definitely getting a nice boost. As far as their adaptations, which is the name for their tactics, goes, the one that we've been shown so far is Hydras, which is re-rolling hits in close combat against units that they outnumber.
Now that is so perfect for a Tyranid Hive Fleet.
It does, and it means that there's
Thematic.
going to be an army that actually requires enemy without number to be a thing. It's not going to be Nidzilla.
Yep. It also makes Carnifexes really good for slamming into like big tanks and everything.
But will the distraction Carnifex ever make its return?
Well, we do know the Screamer Killer is back.
And one other, the Thornback, I believe.
Thornyback?
I forget its name right now. Where is it? I think there is another Carnifex confirmed returning. I forget what its name is.
I wonder if it's from the Child of Charybdis.
I wonder if its name's Derek.
The Thornback, an anti-infantry horror first mentioned in the 4th edition codex.
So maybe we will see one of the coolest Tyranid characters ever.
Daemon
Redlaze
Overload?
knows this one. Yep.
Oh dear.
Fuck the Swarm Lord. The Dagon Overlord is superior.
No, you don't mess with my Stormlord. He's adorable. His name is Squishy.
No, Rogel Dawn's adorable. That's his title. That's his war name. Yes.
Dear.
I imagined Remley's like picking up a stock puppet and just saying yes.
Yes.
I just have nothing to say there.
Anyway, I'm hoping that the Genestealers stay just as good as they are because they were pretty good. I'm hoping the Tyranids drop in points a little bit. I know they did take a significant drop in points, but I still feel like the Tyrannicide is too many points for what it does, considering that it's useless.
I don't know, because there comes a point, like, they can't really do anything to the cost of the basic guys, and the big guys are a lot tougher than they used to be. At least in my experience, Tyranid monsters are sticky.
Actually, the Flying Hive Tyrant took a significant nerf. And that makes sense.
But the Turbigon and the Tyrannofax with their toughness 8 and ludicrous
No,
saves.
Tyrannicite.
I know, I'm talking, you're talking about one unit, I'm talking about generally reducing the points of the army would be a risk. The Tyrannicide
they did it to the Eldar.
I said I don't think it can't work. I'm saying it's a risk because the Turbigon is ludicrously sticky already, and if they make it any cheaper, then it becomes spammable.
Sticky.
Yeah, it's kind of why I didn't bring one to a game, especially with the free gaunts.
Absolutely. And of course, to close off,
don't really do much.
They have their use. But to wrap out the news, I believe we have a little bit of news on Necromunda.
Yes. Was release date again? Was it the 11th? The release date?
Pre-orders are the 11th. Yes.
And it's £75.
I hadn't seen that, but fair enough.
I did. Yes, I saw a leaked picture from White Dwarf. Yes.
That's pretty impressively good value, I have to say, looking at it.
It's about the same cost as the 7th edition starter box set, so...
Yeah, true.
So 150 here? That wouldn't be too bad.
I'm not sure it'll be quite 2 to 1. I think it'll be more of order, probably 120. But
Probably. Like one...
They put it as €100, if that helps, so...
I could translate. I could do that, but I'll just see it when it comes out.
You're probably looking
I
at
don't know
$100 to $120, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know if I'm excited about Necromunda. I know Remlays is.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
But
Go on.
I never got into Necromunda.
You don't know what you've missed.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is I'm hoping this system is better than Shadow War.
Exactly, I mean...
Because Shadow War was broken.
I mean, let's put it this way. Necromunda is basically what Shadow War would be if Shadow War was actually good. And balanced.
I have to admit, I was never sold on skirmish games. All the way back to the pre-Age of Sigmar days when they were talking about Fantasy IX becoming a skirmish game. I was like, no, I don't want a skirmish game. I've never been that sold on skirmishes. Deathwatch Overkill and that sort of style did nothing to convince me. I'm not convinced by Shadespire. Admittedly, I haven't looked into Shadespire, but that sort of thing doesn't convince me either. Shadow War did absolutely nothing to convince me. We've already stated it had its problems. And so I've not been convinced to pick up Necromunda. I will admit that openly.
Bear in mind, my main time when I was playing was around 2nd edition, and at the end of tail end of 2nd edition, beginning of 3rd edition 40k. And this was the time where you had an absolute ton of skirmish games, like you had Warhammer Quest, you had Mordheim City of the Damned, you had Necromunda, you had Gorka Morka, and they were all really amazing games in their own right. I mean, literally all that Mordheim was Necromunda in a fantasy setting, and it was fucking awesome. And what made Necromunda so fun was not only was everything balanced, but you had such a variety as well. Like you could have something like, say, the more melee-focused Goliath gang, or you could have, a Scavvy gang which just outnumbers everyone by 2 to 1, or you could have the Redemptionists and have just spam flamer weapons. And the original Eviscerator, which instead of being a massive chainsaw, it was just a big chainsaw with a flamer attached to it. Which is,
I like that a little bit better.
Yeah. And let's be honest, that's the best type of Eviscerator, let's be honest. And
Indeed.
And the fact that the original box set of Necromunda, you got like 2 gangs, Admittedly, they were crappy plastic models at the time with only like 2 poses between them, but you had all this terrain. So you buy yourself Necromunda's box set, and you have an entire scenery thing for your 40k battlefield, which was awesome.
And that's what they're doing in this box as well.
Indeed. Yeah. So Goliath and Escher will be out first, and then Delac, Cawdor, Orlok, and Van Saar will be out in 2018.
And not only that, but there's also news that hired guns are returning, and not only that, but the first hired gun model is an Imperial Beastman. That's just awesome.
They sounded far too happy.
Look, I keep getting people say that Imperial Beastmen aren't canon, only cash. It's like, well, yeah, here's an Imperial Beastman and the upcoming Necromancer. Fuck you.
Quite.
Can you tell that Remlace is a little salty? It's almost as salty as when somebody brings up Arch on my channel.
If I was any saltier, I'd have a kidney stone removed.
I see what you did there. That's good.
Indeed. Actually, there was an interview in White Dwarf that's coming out this weekend as well, talking about why Necromunda is being done now. And for want of a better word, their excuse was the Sector Mechanicus wasn't done. We saw that and we decided, right, now we're doing Necromunda.
Because now you've got the scenery for it. That isn't just cardboard. But I like the cardboard scenery of Necromunda, though, in fairness, especially with those classic GW bulkheads.
Well, I mean, they sort of brought them back as well. If you look at the little Primaris set thing that I'm trying to describe poorly right now.
Oh, the no fear box set was.
Thank you.
Yeah, but they're just boxes rather than full on, actual buildings. Have different shapes and sizes.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, actually, I've just been reading the interview here. Necromunda's not going to be just 8th edition with a twist. Reading the interview here with the game designers, the turn sequence isn't a thing.
What?
Yeah, I think it's you pick a model, you do all the actions with that model, and then your opponent does one with one of their models.
I can't look forward to the interview. They only show this one page, but it says the first thing they did was to move away from the traditional turn sequence. So whatever they are doing, it's not going to be you go, I go in the way that 8th edition is.
So it'll be more like chess in a way.
Yep.
Interesting.
Perhaps.
Maybe. We don't know for certain.
That's a pretty interesting idea. Let's see how that actually pans out.
Oh, and if you wanted even more terrain, coming this week or next, we have the Riser Pattern Ruins from the Moonbase Crisis box set will be available separately for the first time. Push bit scenery, make little bits of terrain for you if you wish.
I actually really like that little set.
I want the what was the name of that box set? That star box set from years ago that had Ultramarines and Nids in it. We had the crashed. Yeah, and
Battle for Macragge.
And you had the crashed Stormbird, was it, or crashed Valkyrie, or whatever it was. Crashed.
It was a Lightning.
It was an Aquila Lander, I believe.
No, it was a Lightning.
Whatever.
No, it was a Lander. Never mind.
Whatever it was, I just want that terrain on its own so we can have crashed planes on the battlefield.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think some of the Planet Strike scenery, I think, maybe has, crashed stuff. I don't know. I can't remember. No, actually.
I would like more terrain like that. I would like a blown up
Chimera?
What is it? Well, all the tanks first off. That would be really cool. And Storm Raven.
I think generally what we're saying is more battlefield debris, please.
Yeah.
A crashed Warhound Titan.
That would be awesome.
That would be an awesome
That would be a board.
A Warhound?
No, Warhound Titans
not a Warhound, sorry. But you could just imagine playing a really a 500-point game on the back of a crashed Titan.
On the back of an Emperor class Titan, that'd be awesome.
Warmonger class Titan, go a little bit bigger.
The Castigator.
I think they are broadly.
Castigator is gigantic.
Have a battle on top of a Castigator.
Nice.
Oh dear.
I'd buy that.
Perhaps. I mean, I'm not actually sure. Yeah, sorry, I'm pulling on my own words here. Anything else in the news that I might have missed?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm just excited for Necromunda because I want those gangers as part of my Imperial Guard retinue. Like, I want to put them in and out of like what is it? Conscript squads.
Makes me wish Penal Legion was still a thing.
Yeah, that too.
Insert comment of someone saying, "Hey, you said penal."
God damn it, Ramlays.
Jesus, man.
No, I do want to point out that how lazy is the name of the White Scars captain in the 4th Company?
Oh my God.
Jogatan Khan.
This is the other Khan, Joe.
Jagatai? No,
Joe Khan.
Jagaton.
I'm pretty sure they were just playing a lot of Mortal Kombat when they came up with that.
This is his brother, Chagatai Khan. With a CH.
Chagatai.
With a CH, you know, Genghis Khan's son.
And Eddardon Khan. Yeah.
I wonder how many
They're
people...
just going around looking at people.
I wonder how many people who have a White Scars army named their captain Genghis.
Oh, a ton.
There'll be more than a couple.
So, is it?
Also, can we get I hope the new fluff for the White Scars is actually good, because their fluff is garbage.
I think the word that I always use to describe the White Scars is
Stupid.
Well,
idiotic.
Underwhelming.
forgettable.
Forgettable is a good word.
Jagatai is always the Primarch I forget exists. That is the problem. I forget the White Scars exist.
Well, I don't get how they can be Space Marines and so dumb that they fall into the most obvious ambushes ever.
You mean go into an ambush situation knowing full well but confident they can win?
Yeah, and then they all freaking die because they're retarded and charge a Tau gun line, and the Tau are even like, are these guys serious?
Well, don't most Space Marines do that? You know, the whole no fear, just kill the Xenos, purge with
Yeah,
fire
but they
and
had
blade.
aircraft. They could have just flown ahead and dropped bombs on them.
Yes, but that means they get the honor and glory.
You know, I hate the fact that that is actually one of the biggest things for Space Marines.
For honor, for glory. Insert Deus Vult here somewhere.
You're not wrong.
So,
that being said, though, at least the White Scars actually got, you know, a model of a named character, unlike the Iron Hands. And Ferris Mass doesn't count.
I know, it's kind of bad. It's weird that the Iron Hands don't have any named characters, but I can justify it. And to quote Alexis from episode 1, hear me out on this.
Hear me out.
Cardan Stronos is the longest serving chapter master of the Iron Hands, bar none.
And he's been doing the job for 2 weeks.
The point being that I get the feeling that the either they get voted out a lot by the Iron Council and or they die a lot. As a result, they don't get enough time to become...
It doesn't have to necessarily be a model of a captain. It can just be a notable Marine, like a sergeant, because even the Dark Ages had like a veteran sergeant and a man, or even like a venerable dreadnought or something. That'd be appropriate for the Iron Hands, having a named dreadnought.
I see your point.
Like an like a venerable Ironbreaker dreadnought or something.
I am clutching at straws to try and justify it, but that's the best I've got.
I mean, come on. The fact that the first founding legions, everyone's got at least one character with a model, except for the Iron Hands, is kind of silly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ultramarines have got like 12. The Blood Angels got like 25. I'm being facetious here. You know, Space
Dark Angels have like 5.
The Wolves have
7.
about 8.
Yeah. The White Scars and the Raven Guard have... the Raven Guard have got 2, because one's a Forge World
2.
model. Yeah.
Who's the other one?
They got Chapter Master Strike, and they have...
That captain with the Thunderhammer.
Yep. Do they have any others?
Oh, Captain Corday. That's it.
I feel like they have one more as well.
It was Captain Corvidae.
I mean, hell, even the Star Phantoms have more characters.
The Flesh Tearers have got theirs. The Black Templars have got 2.
3.
3? Oh, 3,
Technically.
sorry. Yeah, 3. Yeah.
If we count, the Emperor's Champion isn't a character per se, but yeah.
I mean, they've got Helbrecht and Grimaldus, haven't they?
They do.
Yeah. Flesh Tearers have got Gabriel.
Salamanders have Hestan.
Yep.
Salamanders have Histan. They have another captain on Forge World. I forget his name.
They got Tushan as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
No. Do they?
Yes. They have Tushan. Yeah, Tushan's a character.
I know he's a character. I didn't realize he had a model.
Yeah, he has a model. Somebody has the Chaplain Dreadnought. I can't remember who, but it's named.
Chaplain Dreadnought? That sounds like a Forge World thing.
It is a Forge World thing.
I'm going to guess Red Scorpions then.
It's not Red Scorpions. If I had my book sitting next to me, I could just easily tell you.
Oh yeah, the Red Scorpions got like that. They got like 3 different models of the same guy.
Red Scorpions. The fucking Nazis of 40k.
Literally the space Nazis.
Yeah, that's not figuratively at all. They're quite literal Nazis. Which is how I'm kind of curious about them, how they're going to handle Reboot Gilliman coming back.
That being said, I'll just get that new Red Scorpion shirt and just paint up as one of the Star Scorpions. Which is a real chapter.
What about the Rainbow Warriors?
Yeah, well.
Oh boy.
The Rainbow Warriors will probably get a character before the Iron Hands.
More than likely.
Captain Fabulo.
Alright, so what's next? What do we got for rambles and junk like that? I do these all the time.
It's questions, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to lead off with a question I've sort of been tossing around in my head. It's not one from the comments, it's just one of my own. What is the piece of lore or information that you always just forget? So like, you know it's the right answer, but you're just like, oh yeah, I knew that.
Okay, I'm just going to make the joke right now. I don't know, I forget. Ha 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 ha. Anyway. A lot of people tend to forget that Fabius Bile made female Chaos Space Marines.
I'm not talking about what people seem to get. I'm talking about the piece of lore you forget. Like, it's the thing that's like, oh yeah, I know that. It's like those things that you're like, oh yeah, that's so obvious. That's, you know what I mean? It's that piece of lore that is quite commonly known, or is like something that you have researched and you just forget all the time.
Oh.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I know.
That Hospitallers don't have grenades. I honestly, like, I'm not trying to be like stupid or anything and make a joke, but I honestly don't know how to go about answering this question.
No, it's I admit it's a little bit of a weird one.
Yeah, I mean, if you forget it, how do you know that you've forgotten it? If you haven't forgotten it, or if you have forgotten it, you might have forgotten that you've forgotten it.
God damn it!
And
Michael went full Zinch on us.
And now I've gone cross-eyed.
I'm just going to move on and do the actual questions now.
Good idea.
Okay, this is the one I really want to talk about, and it's one I made reference to earlier. A 40k YouTuber, not named here, recently posted a video titled, "Is Gilliman Ruining 40k?" In it, they argue that Gilliman was a blight on 40k, overpowered and underpriced, the worst written lore, should only be allowed in Apocalypse games, his presence would turn off new players, and any self-respecting Space Marine player would boycott the model. Do you believe any of this to be true?
I don't
Is
believe...
it Commissar Gamza? That feels like Commissar Gamza.
I don't feel Gilliman's got the worst written lore, to be brutally honest with you. I mean,
No, it's actually really well written.
exactly. I mean, if you look at his stuff, like in the whole Dark Imperial era, like he's actually gotten some really good character development as he's coming to terms with, you know, what essentially is a completely new universe for him. Because you know, he went into stasis around, you know, after the events of the Horus Heresy, when, you know, people were still generally believing in the Imperial truth, you know, even though the Imperial Creed was taking effect, and now he's come back into a world where everyone's like pretty much super religious. And I mean, yeah, the way his resurrection was handled was, you know, it's a little bit kludgy, but I blame that more on Ivrain's lore more than Gilliman's lore, to be honest with you, because let's be honest, Ivrain is the magical girl of 40k, she is Sailor Moon. No, I'm not joking.
She's best waifu. Second best waifu. I like Celestine.
She has the impractical dress, the magical sword, the stupid hairstyle, and magical powers. She is Sailor Moon. And she has the animal sidekick. Anyway, moving on. But I don't think Gilliman's lore is bad. I mean, to be honest, I think out of the Primarchs, I think the one with the worst lore, really, is, again, going to Jagatai, just because it's so forgettable, to be honest with you.
I've covered all the Primarchs in a relative amount of depth, and I find Perturavo's lore not to be badly written, but just to be kind of bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's there. I've got my biases against Fulgrim, but he is well written. Jagatai, there's just... Yeah, same with Lorgar. Jagatai is just, there's not enough there to really consider, and the Alpha Legion is the Alpha Legion, but Gilliman's lore in the 30k era is, while not as in-depth as a Horus or a
Sanguinius.
Magnus, or a Sanguinius. Actually, Sanguinius is kind of underdeveloped as well.
True, but at least well, the entire book developed to him, didn't he?
Quite. So while it's not the best lore that's out there, it's far from being the worst in either era. And I would agree with the fact that Gathering Storm at Ivrain was the problem with Gilliman's lore. The way he came back and the plot holiness of Ivrain was the problem.
Well, after listening to Shroud of Night and Eye of Darkness, I really do like Ivrain because she's so massively overpowered. Like, she knows how powerful she is. She blows off Ahriman like he's nothing. Like, he's a nuisance and not an actual problem, and I thought that was amazing.
Just to interject, sorry. When you said Shroud of Night, did you mean Eye of Night? Because Shroud of Night...
Eye of Night, sorry. Yeah. Those two books, they came out within, 2 months of each other, and they have the same freaking name, just about. Anyway, but going back to the point, I think Ivrain has decent lore, but I feel like the entire Gathering Storm needs, 3, 4, 5 books dedicated to it.
Yeah, I would agree on that. Yeah, I mean, it needs to...
The reason...
I'd probably give it, at least 12 books, like with the Beast Arises series. Just give it entire books, a nice, decent amount, rather than just 3 or 5 or 6 books. Give it a nice amount. And then you can actually explore each character's motivation. You have, maybe one novel dedicated to each character, told from their point of view, for example. With Watchers of the Throne, how each chapter's told in that character's point of view. Maybe have, the first chapter told from Creed's point of view, the second chapter from... Celestine, third from Abaddon, etc.
Oh my god, could you imagine an entire book told from Celestine's point of view?
That would be awesome, in fairness.
That would be intriguing. The reason I really wanted to bring this question up as well is I have heard, and you've probably mentioned it yourself, that Gilliman's shenanigans are pretty nonsensical on the tabletop. Is it to the... Obviously, I know what you see in the game is different to how you...
So I know what you're getting at. I really do. This is a very good point. Gilliman is included in every single Imperial army. It is the best character currently in the game, in my opinion. Second being Magnus. And I hate to say that, as you know, I have disdain for Magnus.
We know.
But Gilliman himself... he's not that overpowered to the point where you can't kill him. He's actually quite killable and very easily killable. His powers come from his buff. He's a buff mander for Imperium.
An army that really didn't need it.
No, the Space Marines do kind of need it, though. The Space Marines themselves are just... And I hate to say this, they're not that good.
Okay, I'll put this to you then. If Gilliman's keywords were all changed from affects Imperium units to affects Space Marine units, would you consider him fair?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I actually consider him fair for his points right now. Though I do think he needs a points hike up to 400, and he would be even more fair. But at 340, he is not overpriced, he is not underpriced, and he gets the job done. I mean, you do have to use a Lord of War slot for him. He is a warlord and does have the Ultramarine tactics if you bring Ultramarines with you, so you are handicapped to bring Space Marines with you. And I know that sounds weird, but it's true. To be honest, I don't... And I know this might come from me using him a lot, but I don't see him that broken.
Okay.
You can smite spam him pretty easy, and his resurrection is a 50-50, so your opponent's going to have to save a command point to try to resurrect him.
The other point, though, is about... This hasn't been a thing, I think, since 3rd edition or 4th edition, but would it be worth giving him you can only use him in X-sized games?
No.
Because
no,
at 1K, is he not that much of a multiplier at 1K points that he can just win a game on his own?
He's really good in a 1K game, but you're limiting yourself to barely any troops, so an army consisting mostly of infantry will still beat him.
Okay.
He lacks mobility, and because of the way he is played in tournament scenes, your entire army is also lacking in mobility. Yes, Guilliman can simply Guilliman smash anything that comes walking near him, but all in all, he's not... I am going to say he's not broken.
I think in the tournament scene, he is not broken. I will agree to that. On the casual level, and I mean, I haven't faced him, nor have I faced Magnus, nor have I faced Mortarion, but...
Mortarion's bad.
Beside the point, but fair enough. My concern is that on the casual level, for players who maybe do not play against him very often, him being on the table in a casual game where the opponent isn't ready for it, or if they've never had to deal with a Primarch level character before, can be pretty damn decisive. And that is something that I haven't tested, but I am concerned about. So I understand where this argument comes from, but I can agree that I don't think it's correct.
One quick thing, just to comment about calling Mortarion bad. I don't mean he's bad as in he's terrible. I mean he's bad as in he's pretty bad. Like, he's going to kill things. If he gets there.
Indeed.
The keyword being...
And, again, he's another... Like, the big old Primarchs, they seem really good until you realize every single one of them is keyed towards buffing.
Well, there's a simple reason for that. If you made them a beat stick, then they'd just be too good.
I think Magnus is the closest thing to just a strict beat stick.
Well, yeah, Psychers kind of can do that.
Yeah.
Changing the subject briefly.
Go on.
Sorry, I just feel the need to share this. As many of you may know, today my video about the Kakarodons went up, my theory video about their origins, and it turns out that Robbie McNavin, the guy who wrote Kakarodon's Red Tide, actually approves of my video, even though he says there are some missteps, but he says it's good stuff. So, yay me.
Yo, that is awesome. Good job, Brimley.
That is nice to get a rough thumbs up from the author. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I would take that. Anyway, I think we've hashed that point to death now.
Also, I'm pretty sure that was Kamsa Gamsa. He makes really funny videos.
I haven't seen and this commenter was very clear not to mention them by name. So, moving on. What is the best way to obtain Imperial armor lore now that they discontinued the books, short of buying them second-hand?
Buying them second-hand. To be honest with you. That's,
yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know how much lore the indexes themselves go into. I doubt that goes into that much, considering
they go into none.
Yeah, they're only £15 each, whereas each Imperial armor book was around, what, £30-35 each? So
they were they were like on the level of the Horus Heresy books. Like, the Siege of Rax was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, right now you can literally acquire them dirt cheap online.
Not here, you can't. Yeah. It's quite expensive. Second-hand. I mean, I was lucky to get Volume 9 and 10, the Badab War, for £30 brand new. So now some Forge World themselves.
Okay. Do the Grey Knights worship the Emperor as a god?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, they do.
I was fully expecting a resounding no there.
Nope. They do. They actually say God, Emperor, and Incorruptible. So It might be an individual thing. It might just be one or two, but as far as I know, they do refer to him as a god.
At the very least, there are some within the chapter who worship him.
Yep. It depends what chapter they come from, also.
No, that's not how the Grey Knights work.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was thinking Deathwatch. My bad. But yeah, in Grey Knights, Incorruptible, they do say God Emperor.
In the Emperor's Gift, I don't think it was ever mentioned explicitly, but then again, I haven't read that book for a while, so I couldn't be sure.
It was either in that or what is the other one that I recently listened to was True Name.
Right. Okay. Well, there you go. If you want to check, then there's some good sources you can use to cross-check what we've just said.
Or just check any of the other audiobooks. Listen to audiobooks. They are amazing.
Okay, question for Remlays. If you could canonize one of your theories, and I'm going to give you leeway and say 3 in case you can't make your mind up.
Oh, 3, yes, please.
Yeah, if there was 1 to 3 you could canonize, what would they be?
Right. I would just outright canonize the Blood Ravens being Thousand Sons descendants.
Knew that was coming.
That was coming.
You know, just because it's been teased so much, just outright come out and say it's just more for confirmation's sake more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because it pisses me off.
I'm pretty sure they did that just to piss you off.
They probably did. The bastards.
That's Remley fellows. Fuck him.
What else? I'd canonize the Lehman Russ being a werewolf now.
So pissed that he's not.
I'd consider canonizing Wolf and Russ for sure.
Wolf and Russ is just an awesome idea. Like just picture in your mind's eye, like, you know, Demon Magnus and the Thousand Sons are attacking an Imperial world, you know, like, wahahaha, I'm going to destroy this world, and then out of the warp comes the wolf, and there's a gigantic fucking werewolf, Lehman Russ, with a massive fucking axe. And
would this be still sane Lehman Russ, or would this be insane Lehman Russ?
Insane Lehman Russ, and he just goes out and starts beating the shit out of Magnus with his axe, and these two massive monsters fighting each other. It'd be fucking awesome.
If there was one I would canonize, and because it's kind of obvious, I would canonize the Legion of the Damned.
Yes.
I don't know I know what answer I'd want, but that has such massive ramifications. I don't know if I'd dare. But canonizing the Legion of the Damned and all the living saints as demonic,
demons, yeah.
Because
they pretty much confirmed that.
It's like the Blood Ravens. It's been strongly hinted at to the point that you could probably say it might well be canon, but I want to get it in writing.
Implication is not confirmation, though. Implication is confirmation enough to piss you off.
Quite.
Which is definitely a good way of looking at it, Ram.
I mean, it's like the incident with the whole Blood Ravens thing, like, Blood Ravens being Thousand Sons. So many hints dropped. A Thousand Sons pretty much outright stated, you know, the Lost Sons of the Thousand Sons Legion and the Raven of Blood. And then Laurie Golding from Black Library turned around and said, no, if you believe that even from a stupid video game, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt she said it like that, but...
No, he pretty much... There was a forum post...
Okay, sorry.
There was a forum post where he said that anyone who takes a 10-year-old video game seriously is a moron. Which made me sour on him quite a bit, to be brutally honest with you, because, like, wow, they're all... Considering when you see other Black Library authors like Aaron Dembski-Bone and Gav Thorpe and how well they interact with the fan community at large, and they just see this one author essentially being a cunt.
Yeah, you know Remlace is angry when that sort of language comes out.
Yeah.
Right, moving on swiftly before Remlace goes full rant.
After this, I promise. And I'll send over 6 demonettes.
Make it 7.
Okay.
But that's not the national sacred number.
I know.
No. We're not even going to fight about this. Okay.
All right, moving on. I think I know the answer to this one, but to clarify, when Imperial Guard regiments fall to chaos, do they maintain their organization, or does it just go out the metaphorical window?
It generally depends, because the Blood Pact actually maintain their organization, despite being dedicated to Khorne.
Yeah, my answer was going to be it varies, but...
For the most part, most of them just tend to fall into, like, you know, just a mob, for the most part, but there are some who maintain their militaristic discipline.
On a side note, the Sisters of Battle also, when they fell to chaos, keep their militaristic structures.
That makes sense, because they're not quite indoctrinated, but it ain't far off, so it kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah,
and if you need source on this, just so you guys know, the new Sisters of Battle Omnibus, which I highly recommend because it's amazing. containing 2 of my favorite stories and 1 new one.
And there's also Demonifuge, which has Chaos Sisters of Battle in it as well.
Yep.
Indeed. Right, on Remlaze's request that we have some of the slightly weirder ones.
Hey.
If a tech marine falls to Slaanesh, does he become a techno marine?
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this.
He becomes a technomancer.
Okay with this as well.
Okay, that was the thing. Okay. With the Relictors... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, that better not be the only weird question you do. Or I'll be upset. It's my birthday tomorrow, damn it. It's my present.
And it's alright, fine, because it's both your birthday this week. Fine.
No, my birthday is next week.
Close enough. It's in this recording session. It's between this recording session and the next one.
Okay.
Would the Relictors be better portrayed as Chaos Marines or Loyalist ones?
Who are the Relictors again?
I can't even remember.
I'm thinking Lictors.
I think they're the ones, they've got quite bonds to the Inquisition, I think. Let me check. Apparently they are renegades. The Fire Claws.
In all fairness, Remlaze is also a renegade.
To be honest, I don't think they should be depicted as Chaos. Keep them as renegade, but don't have them depicted as Chaos, because it's always more interesting when you have a renegade chapter that's still technically loyal to the Emperor, or just
Soul Drinkers.
Yeah, or just in it for themselves. I think that's always a bit more interesting rather than just like, hey, we rebelled against the Imperium. Oh, we're automatically Chaos now.
Yeah, so
that gets a bit old.
Yeah, it seems to have written that they were declared excommunicate traitores during the 13th Black Crusade, were all but wiped out by the Grey Knights, and then have run for it, but... and
fled into the Eye of Terror, apparently.
Apparently so, although that needs citation. So yeah, that's... I don't know if I'll do a lore video on those guys, but that's interesting. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, this is a little bit interesting. How do the Primaris Marines view themselves, and I'm quoting the question here, all the hate they are getting from the other Space Marines? For the record, they're not.
Actually, they are. The Ultramarines hate them.
The Crimson Fist don't.
Yeah, the Ultramarines hate them, and there's a small passage, I can't remember what book it's in, but the Primaris Marines, there's this one Primaris aggressor, and when he's flying down on a Thunderhawk, he thinks of his brothers not liking him, and then visions of the Thunder Warriors come to his mind. And I'm just like, oh shit.
What book's that?
I don't know, I've been trying to find it. I saw a picture of it on a freaking YouTube, on a Facebook group, and I've been trying to find it ever since.
I think it varies on which chapter they're in, because, I mean, yes. In Dark Imperium, there was a Space Wolf Primaris who was just so excited to actually become a Space Wolf. He was like, yeah, I'm really excited, I'm going to join a Space Wolf. And it's like, yeah, you're going to a different chapter. What? And
I mean, it's canonically stated in Dark Imperium that Guilliman does not like them.
No, they're a necessary evil.
But the Crimson Fists, when they turned up and kind of saved Rin's world again, the Crimson Fists see them as closer to the ideal of Rogel Dawn. So they openly welcome the Primaris Marines.
Which is ironic, because in Shroud Knight, the Imperial Fist captain hates them. Which is ironic. It's like, they're not even tested in battle. I don't like them. Build that wall.
Well, to be fair, that was Dawn's logic, though. He didn't give the Imperial Fist a word until he'd seen them fight. He didn't speak to them until he'd seen them fight. So I can sort of see that logic.
So, hi, Dawn. Okay.
That's probably not too far off. And when they did see them fight, he was just like, good job. Okay, we're off now. That was basically it.
No, he just said, yes.
Good.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dawn was a man of few words.
Yes and no and yay.
Even fewer facial expressions.
Absolutely. Speaking of Primarchs, another question here. do any of you think it was possible that one of the Primarchs got bored on campaign one day and decided to take to the field without their standard Primarch grade super weapons, but just like normal stuff like a bolter or a heavy stubber or something similarly mundane just to mix it up a bit?
Didn't Korax used to go into battle just without using his whip and lightning claws and just took like a heavy bolter one day and just went, fuck this?
I'm pretty sure that did happen.
I mean, I'm pretty sure
wielded
one
it as a
idiot,
bolter. Which is
I'm pretty sure one idiot went up against Fulgrim with a wrench.
Oh dear. But yeah, to be honest, I get the feeling I don't think the Primarchs would ever get so bored as to do that because I don't know if the Primarchs really could get bored.
They
well,
did.
They did get bored, but
Fulgrim would get bored just because it's Fulgrim.
Fulgrim also gets annoyed when you insult his wives.
Yes.
But anyway,
yeah, I find that kind of funny. You just imagine that Angron decided, you know what, I can't be bothered using Gorefather and Gorechild today. I'm just going to wring some necks with my bare hands.
No, it'd be more like, Rah! That's all. He didn't say, we just scream.
He just, no, like he's getting out of the shower. Sir, we're about to make planetfall. Should I prepare the dropship? He just jumps out the fucking window towards the planet naked.
Vulcan proved that doesn't work.
It worked for Vulcan.
He was a perpetual. That's cheating.
And then he tackled Curse out of a window. Which was hilarious.
Okay, question for me. Is the Pathfinder Darkstrider El Miyamoto the Tao's version of Sly Marbo?
Who?
Kinda? But no.
I'm pretty sure instead of screaming he screams weeb. I need to get Alpha to do this now.
It's just screams in kanji. Or is it katakana, whichever one. Which one's used for foreigners? Which one's
Angry
used for...
trap noises. Anyway.
Angry gay noises.
Moving on. Will Dante be revealed as a perpetual due to being the oldest Space Marine besides Chaos and Dreadnoughts?
He's not the oldest Space Marine. He's not. The oldest one's actually Te Karungi, I think his name is, the chief librarian of the Kakarodons. He's over 3,000 years old.
There's also Furioso Librarian Dreadnoughts that fought alongside Sanguinius.
Dreadnoughts were excluded in this.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Take your point.
So,
you know...
Te Karungi is the oldest non-Dreadnought Space Marine in the Imperium, so far that we know of, who hasn't been in stasis. And he's now got a cartilage skeleton and denticles. Denticles being little shark teeth that sharks can have.
Oh my god, it's so... Yet female Space Marines are impossible, but a Space Marine turning into a shark or a werewolf or a vampire?
Or dragon.
It's okay. Oh yeah, or dragon. That's perfectly possible, you know.
So when are we going to get our cat marines?
Feeling chapter.
Let's just move on before we start another flame war in the comments.
Instead of having the wolf, and you have the kitten.
Can they be a golden chapter?
Yes.
Alright, people, I need artists, and I need you on this immediately. Sexual Yeti, I'm looking at you.
It'll just be Felix in power armor.
I'm okay with that.
2 questions for Remlays. Are you excited for the upcoming Transformers Power of the Primes Dino bots?
Yes. They made a Dinobot combiner that didn't look like shit. I'm happy about that.
And second up is, if Optimus Prime is the God Emperor, run with it, does that mean Megatron is Korn, Soundwave is Tzeentch, Shockwave is Nurgle, and Starscream is Slanesh?
No. Megatron would be Horus. Blatantly.
Also Soundwave and Slanesh because Noise Marines.
Yes, no.
No,
Anyway,
Starscream's Pride.
And Soundwave was essentially emotionless. He wouldn't fit with Slanesh.
I don't know Transformers, I'm just going on names.
He literally just spoke in the robotic monotone, just went like, Soundwave superior, Constructicons inferior. And he had awesome cassette robots. Literally, he would eject robot cassettes from his chest, and they would turn into like cats and bats and little tiny people with pile drivers for their arms. It was awesome. G1 was best. G1 was awesome. Not as good as Beast Wars, though. Beast Wars the best.
See, and you question my rants.
Okay, before we start an argument, I was wondering if the people and planets of the Imperium not affiliated with the Mechanicus in any major way are allowed to develop their own technologies, considering also that the tech is not heretical, as in it's not AI, it's not warp-based shenanigans. Does that really happen? Is that a thing?
Well, the people of the planets, they don't have the knowledge to build.
They have, on certain ones, they have knowledge to consider, to carry out basic maintenance, because this is proven on Necromunda. But as opposed to actually building technology, you need to have Mechanicus people to do it, essentially.
What?
Unless you're on a more primitive world.
Yeah, it comes down to your civilization is allowed to develop up until the Imperium goes, you're part of us now, no more.
Yeah.
And they put like preachers and a whole bunch of shit on your planet to make sure you don't do that, and they destroy and categorize everything that you have.
And then the Adeptus Mechanicus go like, that's some nice anti-grav technology you have. Do you have the STC? No, burn it!
Wait, they do have the STC for grab plates.
You know what I mean, Alexis.
I know, but I'm still going to point that out.
Okay, slightly interesting debate here. Do you believe that the Tears of the Emperor, if they're still canon, could possibly be the equivalent to human spirit stones? Said to form when a loyal warrior of the Imperium dies, and also Eldar spirit stones described in mythology as the Tears of Isha, so could this be more than just a coincidence?
I always thought the Tears of the Emperor was more of an allegorical thing, personally, rather than literal. Because otherwise the Emperor would be crying non-stop.
I was going to say, I find that unlikely.
I mean, what did he do? Like, collect them? Like, I can't wait to make grenades out of these.
Well, the thing is, the psych-out grenades, they're actually made from the Emperor's waste, so they're actually made from his poo. That's his canon. They're made from Emperor poo. Literally, Grey Knights would go like, hey, demon, eat some poo! And,
Yep.
and Nurgle's like, nah, that's too gross for this man, I'm out of here.
Michael, I got nothing. Your turn.
All right, I'm just gonna move on.
It's true.
In the Black Legion novel, I don't know if you guys have actually read this yet.
I have not yet, no.
Well, apparently, in an attempt to convert Sigismund, I know, run with it, Abaddon more or less talks about the plan the Emperor had in Master of Mankind for the Space Marines and the Primarchs to replace them, like he did with the Thunder Warriors back in the day. The question is, how the hell does Abaddon know this, since that conversation was, if memory serves, between the Emperor and a custodian done telepathically?
I mean, the Emperor's also had that same conversation with Korax.
It could also be something as simple as maybe the Emperor told Horus, Horus told Abaddon, Abaddon just remembered, or maybe Abaddon was just very good at guessing.
No, I wouldn't go with that as an answer. I mean, I'm sure the Chaos Gods probably knew what his plans were.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm trying to think how I might put this and trying to get this in context. I'm pretty sure that it was kind of thought because, like, between Horus and I know Jagtai said it, but I think it was to Horus that they sort of were wondering, like, what does the galaxy hold for us when this is all over? So I get the feeling that Horus maybe had sort of worked it out on his own, even pre-heresy.
Well, I mean, Felgrim kind of answered that question.
This is
His
the part where you
answer.
explain it.
Well, I was waiting for you to jump in and be all like, what? And say something. But yeah. They asked this question, or a similar type question, in Fulgrim. Portorabo is talking to Fulgrim, and he's like, why do you keep all these useless trinkets? Like, why your warship looks more like a gallery than an actual warship. This is useless. It's pointless. And he goes, because after all the fighting is over, it is our job to teach everybody and give them a proper culture. So Fulgrim's entire purpose was to bring culture to planets through art.
I mean, Perturabo was so obsessed with or so anti-aesthetics that he didn't even have windows on his ship.
Yep, they mention that in the book as well.
So I think Fulgrim's stance and Perturabo's were as polar opposite as you were going to get. But yeah, fair point.
One would be more like a teacher. The other one would be more like an artist. They're both necessary for society.
Yes, and the whole, and I think I don't remember sorry, my brain sort of went to mush for a second, but I know that one of Fulgrim's sort of hopes for the Great Crusade was to introduce a level of culture to the Imperium once again after the Crusade was over.
Yep.
So Perturabo, being a very learned individual, he did a lot of studying with Magnus back in the day. The two of them became kind of friends over their studies. It was your teacher artist analogy is pretty good.
But personally, I do think that the Marines themselves would have been thinned out.
Yeah, and that's maybe how Abaddon knew, because if Jagtai and Horus had worked out, were thinking about, hang on, well, what happens next, then particularly once Horus had been corrupted by Chaos, he may well have just gone to the logical conclusion.
Yep. What about you, Remlies? What do you think about that?
It's certainly interesting to comprehend, nonetheless.
I think Remlies actually fell asleep. Alright, next question. What do we got?
Since Forge World is being Forge World, which chapter tactic best suits the Minotaurs until they deign to give us one?
Black Templars, probably.
Either Black Templars or Ultramarines.
Minotaurs are all about just getting stuck in and smashing shit, so yeah, I'd say Black Templars.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just find it weird that, hey, for Blood Ravens, you should use Imperial Fist tactics.
I know, I read that, what? I was just like... Their suggestions of, matching up chapter tactics to chapters, I was like, what the fuck?
Hey, you're using Red Scorpions, that means you should use Raven Guard. Why? Just because.
Deary me.
Why? Because Scorpions hide in the sand. Doop-a-doo. Makes them hard to hit. I'm talking like this, I don't know why. Yeah.
I'm just going to let him keep going, because that was amusing.
That was rather amusing. Okay, how many Primarchs would it take to kill the Emperor, assuming no Chaos shenanigans?
Well, it took one to cripple him, so two.
That was
Chaos shenanigans.
Oh. Well, it took an Orc to strangle him almost to death, so maybe two?
Depends which ones.
Well, the suggestion of this commenter almost sets it up kind of like a WoW raid, with Angron and Vulcan as your tank, and with Angron and Leman Russ as your DPS, Vulcan as the tank, Gilliman as your coordinator, and Magnus and Sanguinius for maneuverability and other damage.
Now, all it takes
and Jagatai Khan completely forgotten about.
all it takes is just have Alpharis standing from him and say, "Hey, Dad, can I talk to you for a second?" And then Omegon stabs him in the back.
Bear in mind the amount of punishment the Emperor took at Horus's hands.
Yeah, but I doubt he can survive, a power sword to the back of the skull.
Take your point. Okay.
If that is the Emperor at all. Ooh.
Turns out it was Alpharius.
Oh, God.
No, damn it!
He's like, wait, if that's Alpharius, and you're Alpharius, then who am I? You're Omegon.
Alright, stop. This is a dead meme. As dead as Alpharius.
In fairness, it's still not as bad a meme as the Angry Marines.
Yes, but they are also a dead meme.
Quite. Okay, question for each individual person. Alexis, tips on running Primaris Marines as a 1,500 point-ish or generally small army.
All I heard initially was you just say, Alexis, tits.
I know I pronounce things weirdly from time to time, but for fuck's sake, get your brain out the gutter, man.
Alright, if you want to see that, go to Patreon, $10. Jokes aside, jokes aside, jokes aside. It's not really a joke. You can. Anyway, I don't do nudes, just saying. Tips for running Primaris Marines. Gilliman, Repulsor, and a whole shitload of Pellet Blasters. If you don't want to take Gilliman, because I don't... 1,500 points, I wouldn't. Lieutenants, take a few of them to... Or, no, Captains, to reroll those ones. And take a shit ton of Hellblasters. They have long range, and they're really good at dealing damage very quickly and cleaning up entire squads. And you can overheat as much as possible with your captain around because of the reroll.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that means you have a 1 in 32 chance of killing yourself, but still.
Yeah, minor detail. Remlays, classic Megatron or the newer incarnations?
But if by new incarnations you mean Bayformers Megatron can fuck off. However,
I'm just...
Because...
We don't know.
G1 Megatron, awesome. G2 Megatron, didn't really have a characterization. He was still the same Megatron. Beast Wars Megatron, fucking awesome. Was pretty much the best Megatron so far, especially because he kept going, yes, with that really awesome voice by David Kay. Robots in Disguise Megatron from 2001. He had an awesome design just because he could turn to like 6 things, and that was awesome. But the other Megatrons were... Actually, no, that being fair, animated Megatron was pretty cool as well. Was it Corey Burton who did his voice? I can't remember.
No idea.
It was a good voice for him though as well. And Prime Megatron just brought back the original Megatron voice, which was awesome.
Okay. Speaking of Manticores, what is your take on Wyverns? I have not actually faced a Wyvern in the new edition.
Insane.
I really liked Wyverns back in the day, and I'm talking like back in 6th edition. I thought Wyverns were really cool. I don't know if they were good, but I really liked them. I get the feeling that having a buttload of shots and being Astra Militarum these days, they're probably good.
I wonder if anyone's going to have a looted Wyvern in an Ork army and have an Ork sing on it called Azhag. See if anyone gets the reference.
I don't get the reference.
Michael got it though.
Oh dear.
Although, really quick, I just want to talk about just an idea that popped into my head the other day. I want to get a Death Strike missile, okay? I want to put it on a flying stand, but it's going to be an entire Stormboy squad because they're all going to be attached to it.
No, what you should do... you've probably seen those pictures online of someone who's done like an Ork commando squad, but they all come together to make a Rhino.
Yes.
Do that with the missile.
Oh my god, I should. That's a good idea. I like that.
So they all come together to make the missile. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, interesting that we mentioned the Ork and the Emperor. How exactly would an Ork, massive or not, be able to even pull that one off?
He was the biggest
Well,
boy.
you see... He put his hand around his throat and started crushing really hard.
While the Emperor said, "Choke me, Daddy."
All right, let's move on, Michael.
Moving. Why don't more Astarte share the abilities of their Primarchs, such as the Wraith Slip, Curz's Prescience, and the like?
Because the Primarchs themselves had unique organs that the regular Astartes don't have. This is why the Primaris Marines are actually larger, because they've actually got access to some of the additional organs that were initially found in the Primarchs, and they've got the pure gene seed stock because of it. So, simply because they ain't got the room in their tiny little bodies.
I also wish to bring up the point of the Thousand Sons, who were... I know that many of them were Psychers from day one, but the original Terran crop developed psychic powers during the Great Crusade. It just sort of happened. So, obviously, every human has a dispensation to being a Psyker, and the recruitment for the Thousand Sons was extremely stringent, but it must be pointed out that they were not Psychers when they joined, and then they became Psychers.
Yeah, it's the same with the Night Lords, because a lot of them inherited Comrade Kurz's gift of foresight as well.
And we also have... Go on.
Even though a lot of them did not inherit the immense telekinetic power he had.
And we must also bring up the Black Rage.
Yes.
Because that is due to a psychic link to Sanguinius.
Could that actually work with Grey Knights?
Why are we bringing Grey Knights up?
That they can develop into psychers?
No, well, actually, when I say develop into psychers, I more mean that their psychic powers were latent when they were recruited. I think it's probably a better way of putting it. So they didn't know they were psychers, but they actually were. I'm guessing. Because every
So they
human,
could probably do the same thing with the Grey Knights then.
but the stringency of the recruitment for the Grey Knights means that they've already probably.
They get taken from black ships, don't they?
I haven't done Grey Knights lore, couldn't tell you.
If I recall correctly, I'm probably wrong, so if I'm wrong, just leave a comment in the comment section. But as far as I'm aware, when these black ships come and pick up the psychers, they test them, and the ones who are young enough with the most, who are really powerful, they go, this one's really powerful. You can either be an Inquisitor or you can be shoved into a Space Marine. It's like, I'll be a Space Marine. I was like, good on you, lad. Now get him to Titan.
No, get him to Titan and don't test his blood. Just shove organs inside him.
Yeah, just start playing the Attack on Titan theme. Fuck you, that show's awesome.
Okay, moving on. What do you think about pre-painted miniatures in general, and do you think it would attract more people to the hobby if GW offered the option of buying their miniatures pre-painted, kind of like X-Wing?
I would love it, to be honest.
It'd be a very basic paint job, I can imagine. Because, funny enough, there was actually a company that tried to do that to compete with Games Workshop in the mid to late... No, it was in the mid-90s. There was a game called Havoc. And they were selling, like, pre-painted models. The problem is, though, to balance the costs of being pre-painted and plastic, the plastic quality was shit. It would literally melt if you left it on the windowsill on a hot, sunny day. It would melt.
You also... Go on. Yeah, finish your point.
And yeah, while Games Workshop models, aren't you got to paint it yourself. One, that offers a hell of a lot more customization options for you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't think everyone wants to be playing as fucking Ultramarines. Let's be bloody honest.
That was going to be my point.
Have you seen the tournament scene?
That was going to be my point, actually.
I mean, some people might want to play as Raven Guard. There might be one or two weirdos out there who want to play as as White Scars. But at the same time, the main problem is how are you going to balance the cost of having it pre-painted with the plastic quality, which Games Workshop stuff is actually generally quite good for, even if Finecast was a load of shit. Let's be honest. There's reasons.
You know what? I would take Finecast Sisters of Battle at this point.
You're that desperate.
Quite. Yeah, and the other thing that you have to consider with the way Games Workshop and 40k and Age of Sigmar are to an extent is it's not about your miniatures in the same way. It's about, I hate to use this phrase, forging the narrative. It's about your army. It's you on the tabletop. So having the ability to customize is really important. And on top of that, some people really enjoy painting. What have I said now?
It's about you on the tabletop, and on top of that... I'm sorry.
For fuck's sake.
I'm sorry. That was bad, but it made me giggle because I have a childish sense of humor.
Right.
And you thought it was bad when I said tits.
I'm just going to move on. Question for Remway is, if the Loyalist Primarchs were to return, which, spoiler alert, they almost certainly will, how would they react to the Primaris in their armies? Do you think?
Did you say the Lost Pry Marks or the Primaris who are...
Loyalist.
So I thought you said Lost, and I was like, when are the Lost Primaris coming to return? Anyway, I think they'll be shocked, let's be bloody honest. They're like, who the hell are these guys, and why the hell are they 10 feet tall? Either that or they forgot how their kids look like and they shrunk. But anyway, I think some of them will be more accepting than others. Initially, I can't imagine Lehman Ross being that accepting just because he hated change of any kind. Like when Gilliman said, right, Codex Astartes now 1,000 Marines, fuck off! Was essentially Ross's response, let's be honest. Consider that...
Yeah.
I imagine Vulcan being quite accepting.
Yeah, I could... I think with Vulcan having gone through what he's gone through, having seen everything, excuse me, that he has, I get the feeling he'd probably be like, okay, yeah, we nearly lost last time. We probably need all the help we can get.
Yeah.
Johnson, I think Johnson will accept it quite quickly because he's a pragmatist at the end of the day. He's not an idealist, really. Same with Dawn, really.
But he was paranoid, though. So he might not...
You're paranoid.
Hey, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. But Lionel Johnson, he was extremely paranoid as well, so he may not actually trust the Primaries. He'd be like, no, I don't trust this. No, get out. No, fuck it.
Lionel Johnson was extremely something, alright.
He was a complete Johnson.
And his soul's...
Yeah.
That's a rant for another day.
Indeed. Korax would go with it because, he created the Raptors. Why it would be a hypocritical thing to not go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Can't be like, nah, they can't ride bikes. Don't want them. They can't go fast.
You've got the aggressors.
True.
I mean the interceptors.
Oh, sorry. I always get. Aggressors are the Centurions. You're right. Sorry, haven't learned the new names yet.
The passive aggressors.
Ha. I like them.
Realize time is pushing on. This is something from the live podcast that someone tried to ask and they didn't feel it was quite fully answered. Although I think we did answer it actually. It was to do with Ahriman and the rubric and stuff, which is mentioned that Ahriman believes he's perfectly unaltered, and yet there is a void that screams where his face used to be. It's quite a long quote, and I won't go through it here. But it's some new fluff on Ahriman, and it's sort of asking like, does Ahriman just got mutations, or has his body sort of disappeared, or what?
I think it's more akin to being a kind of psychic veil, because remember when the rubric happened, those sorcerers who essentially survived the spell had their powers greatly augmented.
Yes.
So he probably just
Wait. Who's actually seeing this?
It doesn't say who actually mentions it here. It doesn't say who said it, sadly.
Because if an Eldar said it, then it could have just been a riddle.
It says former brother, so it's an X-Thousand, so it's a thousand son.
Yeah, I think it must have been Sylvester Cranon? Was it Cranon?
I really thought you were going to say Sylvester Stallone.
No, Sylvester Cranon was Crimson, but it was it was the Thousand Sun Sorcerer who's now part of the Black Legion. His name begins with a K. Kaon?
Kaon. Iskandar Kaon.
That's it. It's kind of like so it would be...
Yeah, the man who threw a ship at a planet.
Yeah. Hadouken!
I still like that it's Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. Of cocking course.
Speaking of which, anyone seen Demolition Man? That one scene where he just screams, penis! Brilliant. When he's chasing down Wesley Snipes, just running down the street going, penis! Yes, we know.
Right, we're moving on now.
We know he's saying Phoenix, but it's because of the way his face is fucked up. It sounds like he's saying penis. Just
moving on.
Trust me on this.
Fine. Right. What did the Emperor get from his bargain with Chaos during the Dark Age of technology? And if he got power from it, spoiler alert, he did, how powerful was he before and then after this incident? Well, after the incident, we know how powerful the Emperor was.
Well, he got the knowledge to create the Pry Marks.
And I believe he got a significant power boost. Because, well, Horus got the same power boost.
Yeah. His power level is now over 9,000.
God damn it, I knew that was coming.
I have to wonder, though, how powerful the Emperor actually was before Malak.
Imagine it this way. Before Molech, he was the most powerful psycho, in humanity. Then after Molech, he became a fucking god.
Right.
Literally, in those words, he became a fucking god. He was a champion of Slanesh. Except at that point, Slanesh wouldn't have actually woken up yet.
No, you're right. This You're right, the fall of the Eldar hadn't happened.
Exactly, because the fall of the Eldar, it was when Slaanesh was actually fully gestating and about to awake, that caused all the warp storms, and then when she was born, that caused the warp storms to cease.
And that was when the Unification Wars happened.
Exactly. Which meant one has to ponder, that mean the Emperor only got power from 3 of the Chaos Guards, and Horus got power from all 4?
Well, also by warp logic, Slaanesh has always and never existed, so it's kind of a weird one.
Yeah, but she was sleeping for most of it, though.
True. Right,
Sorry, interesting fact as well. I know, like, some people, call me out on calling Slaanesh female, but only just because the Eldar call her she who thirsts. But anyway, the funny thing is, according to Colchizian mythology, Lorgar's planet, Khorne's a man, Slaanesh is a man, and Tzeentch and Nurgle are women.
Well, all I can say regarding Slaanesh is is known as she who thirsts to the Eldar and the Dark Prince to everybody else, so I just default to it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's offensive.
Nurgle is the princess, and Tzeentch is the lady. So
Tzeentch is even more confusing.
What about Princess Nurgle? There's got massive images of fat, bloated, grated demon.
Stop.
Wearing a little dress going, I'm a pretty little princess.
I think the comments have got their quota of exasperated sighs out of me this episode.
We can get 3 or 4 more out of you.
Right.
At least I didn't say it.
What are your opinions on the Ask Insert 40k Character Here blogs that are mainly on Tumblr, if you even use Tumblr?
I don't use Tumblr.
Oh, a few of those guys are actually fans of mine.
Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. I mean, I don't use Tumblr because Tumblr is toxic. But it's kind of neat.
Well, there you go. Next question.
Oh, God. So, because we seem to be having a chain of questions about Primarchs doing stupid shit, since we've already had a question about the Loyalist Primarchs in a ban, this follow-up is just inevitable. If the Loyalists and the Traitors had a battle of the bans, which side would win?
Oh, God, easily the Chaos.
Yeah, Traitors, plainly, because we all know that Traitors would be, Let's actually look at who's actually on the Traitor side. We got, we got Fulgrim, Kurz, Angron. I mean, Angron, I can just imagine being an awesome black metal drummer, just smashing things at stupidly fast speed. Just going...
Yeah, the Loyalists don't really have a look in here.
No. I mean,
right,
who'd be doing the blast beats on the Loyalist side?
Vulcan.
Manus?
Manus would be playing the bongos. Boom, boom.
Anyway...
All right, this is a question that came up. This is one of the first questions that came in, and I knew I had to ask it. Is it just me, or was the Great Crusade kind of a rush job? I mean, they went out there with at least 3 legions with crippling flaws, technology that simply wasn't up to task, a politically unreliable technical core not interested in innovation, an FTL system that needed to be dangerous and unreliable with a better one in development, blundering around with little intel, just wandering willy-nilly into empires without so much as a by your leave, triggering costly conflicts that could have been avoided, leaving valuable systems and threats unattended to in their wake. Plus, their conquests were left underdeveloped and unconsolidated in their quest to spread themselves ever thinner. I get the Emperor wanted his sons back, but why did he send out scouts and use psychic divination to find them? Did he have to conquer everything between Terra and Ultramar first? And why make one batch of 20? Why not one by one invest the time to raise them and teach them properly, take the lessons learned and use them to improve the next? And if Chaos steals the first, well, he knows to be more careful next time. Just seems silly, the idea of a multi-millennia-year-old immortal emerging as the most important endeavour of all time and cacking it up because he didn't have the patience to do it properly. Did he have somewhere else he wanted to be? Did he leave the kettle on? Was he expecting the Nids or the Necrons or the Primarchs to show up? Was he missing... No, that's a Jeremy Kyle joke. Your thoughts?
I actually completely agree with that. I think the entirety of the Horus Heresy is written on stupidity. Like the... Well, I just broke my phone. But anyway... I really feel like, why would they send out Fulgrim's Legion when it only had, 2,000 soldiers? And they decided to send them out? Yeah, they're just like, oh, well, whatever, just go. And never actually do, after he got back each and every one of the Primarchs, why he didn't sit down and do a psychic evaluation of all of them. because what is his name? Malkador can go through your entire mind and everything in less than an instant. Why didn't he do that? Why didn't he just go, all right, so this one has too much pride. We need to fix that really quickly. So psycho condition him to get rid of some of that. This one's really fucking angry. Hey, Emperor, do you know how to remove this? I have no idea.
But
it'd probably kill him.
But doing that would force the Emperor to admit that he has flaws and made mistakes, and would the Emperor do such a thing?
He could blame it on the planets they landed on, even if it wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But think of it this way. Though.
Every single one of them had a flaw.
Think of it this way, though. The Emperor is going out to try and reconstitute all of humanity into a massive empire, and he's trying to do it quick, which must mean he had foreseen something is going to happen. He's like, right, we basically need all of humanity united to combat this one specific threat. And not only that, but one has to think of the possibility, like, I need to get my sons back and bring them into the fold, because if for whatever reason they all make contact with each other first, they might decide, you know what, we're going to be in charge, and I doubt the Emperor could take on every single Primarch at the same time.
And this is what the replies to the comment bring up. The idea that the Emperor explains the way his visions work in Master of Mankind, and then saying maybe he saw the Nids or some other threat that required them to be united, but he didn't know when. Or you had to think about the idea of chaos. Slaanesh had just woken up, the Necrons were on their way back, the Tyranids were somewhere, and there was a lot of shit going on. He may have thought, well, I need humanity together now, and to hell with the consequences. Particularly considering...
He might have foreseen the coming of the Beast, potentially.
Indeed, that's another one. And you also have to consider, particularly with the fact that the Chaos Gods literally gave the Emperor the middle finger when they scattered the Primarchs, whether that was the Chaos Gods or some other shenanigans involved with the Dark Angels. We're not going to go there right now. Yeah, sorry, that's weird. But if we take it as the Chaos Gods, then the Chaos Gods had the power to say to the Emperor, we can take the Primarchs from right under your fucking nose and throw them where we want.
Or into the sun.
Quite. What is to stop us from either killing them or corrupting them and turning them on you, which, spoiler alert, is exactly what cocking happened. He may have thought, right, if I can get the Primarchs back and get humanity together, I can get this ready, but I need them together first, because if I take too long, either some other threat is going to show up or chaos is going to get to them.
Or think of it this way.
Why didn't he just tell his sons about chaos? Hey, children, I gather you here today.
We'll get to that.
Because chaos is icky.
We'll get to that.
Because of the point I'm about to bring up. As you mentioned, Slaanesh had just woken up. The Emperor got his massive power boost from the Chaos Gods, and essentially wanted to say, alright, thanks for the power, I'm gonna fuck you all up. Get everyone united, no more religion, Imperial truth, starve the Chaos Gods.
Here we go.
Make me the most powerful thing. Make me the fucking god. I'm not a god. I'm not a god. Honest, even though you should only worship me as a god, but I'm not a god. I just have supreme, colossal, godlike power.
Absolutely, and I understand where this question is coming from, because I'm not going to say the untrained eye because that's rude. To an observer who maybe hasn't seen into the Emperor's mindset the way Master of Mankind and the incredible amount of research that sometimes we just have to do, it can definitely feel at a glance that the Great Crusade was just, oh god, we need to do this now, go into hell with the consequences, and that's why the heresy happened.
Yeah.
You can see that logic, particularly if you're an Imperial living in that time. You can always say, well, why are we doing this so fast? What's the fucking rush?
No, even Horus brought that up. He didn't want to do the bureaucrat shit.
Well, maybe the Space Marines didn't need to do the bureaucratic shit, but what was to stop them, consolidating their position, taking the time to, I don't know, coordinate, isolate good key targets rather than seemingly picking them willy-nilly and crashing into empires that they had no right crashing into?
Well, in the Fulgrim book, it explains that the Emperor did set them on certain paths in 20 different directions, essentially. 20 different locations. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
And Fulgrim, like an idiot, chose one of the locations that was really, 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 really far out that scout ships didn't make it to. You also got to keep in mind, scout ships were sent out. They were unmanned ships that just kind of killed everything in their path. But there were thousands of them, well, millions of them, that were shot out, and they went way ahead of the actual fleets that the Space Marines traveled in.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's in Fulgrim.
Ah, yeah, fair enough. I haven't actually read Fulgrim. I know
that's also in Garrow's books as well. They talk about them because they detected the fleets coming back to Terra.
Yeah, and it is stated. In counter argument to that, I suppose, is the way the Primarchs sort of were rediscovered, like the idea that. Take Guilliman, for example. Guilliman, word of Guilliman got to the Emperor through word of mouth. He wasn't found. His deeds became so legendary that by the time the Emperor and the Great Crusade reached Ultramar and the wider systems, everyone knew who Guilliman was, and that's how the Emperor knew it.
Because he had an entire system under his command. He had like 500 worlds into his own empire.
Indeed,
and when you have an empire that big, people can start taking notice. Like, that guy has potential.
And take another example, Angron. Angron wasn't found by a scout ship, or if he was, it's never mentioned. The Emperor being over New Saria seemed to happen. I don't think the Emperor was there on day one. He turned up when Angron was found. They didn't know Angron was there. So, as far as I'm aware. So it's a bit of a weird one. I don't know. There's a really big question and a really interesting debate to have as to like why the Great Crusade happened the way it happened, because that's so many permutations.
Indeed.
But yes, that was the one question I saw, and I was like, I have to ask this.
It was a good question. I'm going to make a video about that.
And I think...
Also, I wonder if the Emperor only made 20, or if only 20 were found.
I think they would have been... If there were more than 20 made, they would have been found because they
what if these were just the 20 that were in this galaxy?
Do you know how big galaxies are?
I do. Like, what if ones were thrown even further? What if one landed on Lair and was just simply killed? Or Laren.
Well, we know there are... I know there's going to be someone in the comments pointing out, there's actually 21 Primaries, actually, with Omegon.
Well, yeah. But they share one soul. They're one person.
Yeah, they were an anomaly.
Yeah.
They were an anomaly. But I've had people...
If they were in the pod together?
I would assume they would have been, because they were twins. So
why weren't they shot at two different planets? Well, the Chaos Gods just like, let's keep these two. These two, well, they're like, again, they're closer than brothers.
They're twins, so they would have grown in the same gestation pod. Their egg would have just split into two.
That's not always the case. That's sometimes the case. Just point out, some twins are not developed.
You know what I mean.
I do.
I'm just imagining like Zeech is just like, well, we got to keep them together. Nurgle's just like, why don't we split them up like everybody else? Isn't everybody hero brother? Well, not really. They're made out of genetic material. That doesn't make them family or brothers. They kind of just use those words.
I just find it funny that there's a really popular fan theory going around that there was actually a triplet to Alpharis and Omegon, which explains why the Alpha Legion Hydra has 3 heads.
I actually do like that theory.
Really?
But yeah. I don't see any evidence towards that whatsoever anywhere.
No.
I mean, if there was, they would have turned up in the Horus Heresy novels by now, especially no one, that was all about the Alpha Legion, from the Alpha Legion's point of view, and had Alpharis and Omegon talking to each other. I think they would have spoken about, their triplet brother, Gammaron, or whatever his name was.
Gammaron.
And bringing up the whole, other galaxy debate, well, one, that assumes, and, we could probably... What?
Continue.
that assumes that, well, one, chaos exists in every galaxy equally, which may or may is probably true, but we can't prove it because we haven't got access to another galaxy of lore. And it also then raised the question of why the fuck the Chaos Gods didn't do it with all of them. So,
well, maybe they like threw them in one direction, like this flung them across, and then they started spreading out like missiles in Battlefield Gothic, where they just sort of hit certain planets, and then one just kind of kept going.
But the question is, though, if there was more than 20 Primarchs, wouldn't there have been more than 20 Space Marine Legions?
Well, to be fair, they weren't ever going to reveal the Alpha Legion if it weren't for the fact that Alfarius turned up.
Yeah.
So it may well have been that once they realised, right, we're at the point where we pretty much hit the edge of the galaxy now. I don't think we're going to find another one.
Oh, there he is.
Pretty much. So, like, I get the feeling that any of these operative legions that are of akin to the old Alpha Legion would have just been rolled into, oh, I don't know, the Alpha Legion, and just hidden amongst the other legions, like the Alpha Legion were.
Like that one Alpha Legionnaire who disguised himself as a World Eater's company captain.
That will not have ended well.
No, an Alpha Legionnaire with the butcher's nails.
Yeah, no.
Is that I am Alpha? Ah! Yes.
And with that, that is... Oh, actually, no, there's one more question, a little quick one. For Alexis, would you ever run a list of Sisters of Battle without repressors in it?
Oh, shit.
That's a no.
That's a no.
All right, hear me out. Hear me out.
Anyway.
Short answer, no. Long answer, no. It's just, okay, there are some things that you do because they're better than everything else. And the Repressor is just the best tank in 40k right now.
Fair enough. And with that, that is the end of the questions.
Oh, and I do have a rant for this, and I've been trying to, oh my god, I am so... okay,
no.
So...
Here we go.
So, a couple of days ago, I built a Spartan tank, okay? You can see it on Ransom Rambles, building a Spartan. And the kit sucked. It was garbage, alright? I heat treated it and everything to try to get everything nice and smooshy to cut it and everything, and do all of that. Today, Duncan built a Spartan. Everybody is telling me about this, that GW simply trolled me because they brought up the points that I missed. They sanded the entire side and everything, and just like, some people missed this step, and I'm just like, you son of a bitch. And considering that Duncan actually knows me, I can see him doing it. And if he did, good on you, Duncan, you're a good person.
Spunky Dunky.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Remless, do you have a rant?
Only that my spine is hurting. That's about it.
Ow.
It's always hurting these days, though.
That's not good. That doesn't make it better.
I know.
No. Do I have anything? Actually, yeah, this isn't a rant more as it is one of those things. It's kind of a ramble, but it's also a kind of a thing where, like, the lore playing by its own rules. So, according to the Harlequins Codex, 7th edition, the first Harlequins appeared in M33. Hold that in your head a second. Why the fuck were there Harlequins in the War of the Beast?
Actually, the Eldar were involved in the War of the Beast.
Yeah, but the point is, the War of the Beast was in M32. Canonically, the Harlequins first appeared, first time, in M33.
Was it first appeared or first appeared to the other members of the Eldar race?
Well, the Harlequins were sent by Eldrad Ulthran in the War of the Beast, so I think they'd already appeared.
Valid point.
In all fairness, Eldrad is one of the most powerful psychers.
In all fairness, I think someone fucked up when writing the Codex.
Well, yeah, this happens quite often. I mean, canonically, Space Marines came out before their Primarchs were discovered.
Well,
yeah,
well, the funny thing is as well, in the new Eldar Codex, There's a model of a Farseer riding a jet bike with a scatter laser, which I'm pretty sure you can't actually take.
No, not yet.
You used to be able to, though, I think.
Harlequin, as far as I've ever seen them, Harlequin jet bikes never had scatter lasers. But then again, I only know back to the last codex. But yeah, one of the comments I got on my Harlequin's lore video is basically probably just best to ignore that insanity because this. Harlequins infiltrate palace by running through halls, slashing and gunning people down while shouting, "We want friendship." Said Harlequins then proceed to easily kill custodes, racking up dozens of kills. These custodes are utterly helpless and takes hundreds of them to swarm fewer than 10 elves. What the fuck?
That's not entirely what happened. The Eldar ran past the custodians. They fought a couple of them and took a few down.
Oh.
Also, it was a Harlequin troupe that attacked. And if you read any Eldar lore, the troupes can number in the hundreds.
No.
No, troupes being their entire fleets.
That's a mask. Troops are the squads.
No, troupes are what they... Oh, yeah.
Also, there's no... I'm sorry to get anal about it, but there is no accent on that E. It's a troop.
Oh, I just like calling it troupe.
Toupees.
That's exactly what it makes me think of.
That's why.
Well, the Harlequins do have crazy hair, so maybe it is a toupee. I swear, we want friendship!
They didn't say that either. They just wanted to... They went to the Emperor. That's what their goal was.
I'm just imagining that one scene from Mars Attacks. Like, we come in peace, blam, blam. We come in peace, blam, blam. But with Harlequin shooting shuriken pistols.
Actually, it would be more of fusion, but yeah.
Varies.
Especially if they want to take down a custodian.
True. But yeah, that wasn't really a rant. It was just the lore playing by its own rules, and I thought it was worth mentioning as a bit of a what the flip.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, the lore has so many inconsistencies, and one of my favorite is Titan size, where in what was it? The Horus Rises, the Titan is only like 46 meters tall, and that's huge. And then in the other ones, its head is in the clouds.
Was it the same type of Titan, though?
It was.
Was that the DS era or something?
It was.
Maybe it got upgraded.
The
Clearly
DS era...
upgraded. They put its head above the clouds. It just elevated just its head.
Well, maybe it was on a planet with a shallow atmosphere. I don't know. Maybe it was a foggy day, because that's what fog is. It's basically a cloud that's on the floor.
Yeah, but my point still stands.
Your point does stand.
It does, yes.
The lore is inconsistent, and one of my fans actually, they were like, "Why don't they just assign lore to certain writers?"
They do.
That way, you don't get so many inconsistencies. Like if you're gonna, let's put ADB on, the custodians, okay, and assign him like a few other chapters as well, and he writes all of that. Well, and if there's a book involving two different writers, they simply tell each other what the armies would do in that situation.
That's probably a bit of a logistical headache.
The thing is, they kind of already did that because you get Gav Thorpe doing pretty much everything Eldar related. You got Aaron Dembski pretty much doing everything Night Lord related. Or
Black Chaos related.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. You got Nick Kime doing everything Salamanders. So
you got it more common now, but I mean in the Horus Heresy books, the earlier ones.
Oh, the earlier ones, yeah.
Admittedly, yeah, the fact that, if I remember rightly, Horus Rising, Galaxy in Flames, and False Gods are all different authors, are they? Or are they all the same author?
They're all different authors.
They're all different authors, and Horus has 3 different mood swings throughout all of it.
And this is when Sanguinius was described as having black hair, even though he's always depicted as being blonde.
Inconsistencies.
Funny enough, I'm just looking at my bookshelf and I can see my old softback covers for Galaxy in Flames and Fulgrim. And the Fulgrim one's got the current Black Library logo of the hammer, in the circle. But Galaxy in Flames has got the old school Black Library logo with, the skeleton hands holding the bee, which looks awesome.
Yes.
I don't even remember that logo.
let's put it this way, that copy of Galaxy in Flames was when it first came out.
Fair enough.
I'm
not sure when that was.
Around 2007, I think it was.
Yeah, before my time then.
Yeah. No, it was before. It was 2006.
Yeah, because I started hobbying in 2008, so.
And funny enough, there's only 10 books left.
Indeed. So what have we got left to cover besides Terra?
How the Blood Angels get to Earth.
That's happening now.
Yeah.
That's the next one. That's Ruinstorm.
And then the Fall of Caliban.
Yep, Caliban's got to be done. Terra's got to be done. Mars doesn't. Pluto doesn't.
The aftermath of the Siege of Terra will probably be what happens with Gilliman implementing the Codex Astartes. Maybe the Iron Cage might get some lore fleshing out, perhaps.
The Iron Cage, the Codex Crisis, the Scouring in general, which would also help to explain, like, that might do Escrador, which was the death of Omegon / Alfarius.
Terra is the main focus right now, because everything else has pretty much been covered, because obviously we've done Istvan 3, we've done Istvan 5 Drop Site Massacre, they've even added a whole thing with Imperium Secundus.
Prospero's been done.
Yep. They added the whole thing about Cygnus Prime, because that was purely new, straight for the novels.
Yep, all the stuff involving the Scars.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there's obviously a lot been done, and obviously they'll be adding stuff in. But I think probably Terra will get 3 books. I think
the Terra trilogy.
Yeah, I think Terra will get 3 books, or at the very least 2.
I'm okay with that.
I want the final duel between Horus and the Emperor to get its own standalone novel. That deserves an entire novel just dedicated to it.
I could see the Vengeful Spirits as a whole
that's what
getting a full book,
just... That's what I mean, when the Emperor and Sanguinius board the Vengeful Spirit, basically, like the end of the novel before was just them teleporting and ends there, ready for the next book. It was like, right, who's getting the honour of doing this? And it turns out, guess what? We're bringing back Bill King for this. Which I wouldn't say no to that, by the way, because I like Bill King.
I was like, who do you trust to write the probably single most important fight in the history of Warhammer 40,000?
I would pick either Graham McNeil or Aaron Dembski-Bowden.
I find it hard to argue with either of those results.
ADB would be really good.
ADB's kind of been with Horus from day one, so it would make sense, but McNeil's been there from the start as well.
Yeah. In fact, wasn't it Graham McNeil who wrote the first Horus Heresy novel?
I know he wrote one of the...
Or was that Dan Abnett? Who wrote Horus Rising?
Oh, I can't remember. I'm going to go and check.
Because I know Graham McNeil wrote either the first or the second book.
So Horus Rising was written by Dan Abnett.
Dan Abnett, okay.
False Gods was written by...
Graham McNeil.
Graham McNeil.
Yeah.
And Galaxy in Flames, I think, is it David Annandale wrote Galaxy in Flames?
I think so. It's either that or James Swallow, and I'm pretty sure it was David Annandale.
Oh, God, and now the bloody... Oh, no, the link's working now. It was written by... Oh, it's Ben Counter.
Oh, we were way off.
Yeah, we were way off. Oops. Flight of the Eisenstein was...
James Swallow.
Eisenstein was Swallow.
Yeah. And then you had Fulgrim, which was written by Graham McNeil again.
It was, yeah.
I'd probably pick Graham McNeil, to be honest.
Yeah, Graham McNeil's had...
As much as I love Aaron Dembski-Bowden, I would rather have someone who isn't as, I don't want to say anything bad about Aaron Dembski-Bowden because he's fucking amazing, but I think he's been a little too close to the whole Black Legion thing to divert attention.
The objective?
Yeah, exactly. I think Graham McNeil would be a bit more objective, so basically be able to paint both characters.
Well, ADB wrote Master of Mankind, didn't he?
I think he might have done, actually, yeah. Actually, I'll tell you what would be good. For the Vengeful Spirit thing, do what they did with the The Fall of Prospero have two books detailing the same story, but from different points of view.
Yes, agreed.
So maybe have Aaron Dembski-Bone do from Horus' point of view and Greg McNeil do from the Emperor's point of view.
I'm okay with this.
That works.
That works. Do it, Black Library.
Yeah, we know you listen to us now because I know at least one of you at least has talked to us before now, so go for it.
We will get
All
Alpha
right.
to persuade you. We will send the little Swedish man to persuade you.
Or we get Snipe and Web to talk to Aaron because we know that he's commented on their dinosaurs.
Yes.
It's kind of awesome.
Open up, get on the floor, and everybody walk the dinosaur. It's a protonid. Shut up.
Yeah, that was an interesting. Well, actually, watching that back was interesting.
Anyway, I think that wraps up another episode, doesn't it?
Indeed, it does.
I think so.
Even though we never got a proper introduction, Alexis.
Oh yeah, I skipped past that, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You completely skipped the fucking intro.
I am so sorry. I
Never mind.
Never more. Anyway.
Shrieking bird noises.
Alright guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Adeptus Podcastus. I want to thank you two for being with me. I'm still not going to name you just out of spite now.
Well, in that case, this has been Michael for Tactica Imperialis.
And it's been Remnants from 40k Theories.
Alright, see ya.
Bye.
Well, bye then.